Billed as too big for just one night, WrestleMania 36, was it? Andrew and Evan got the answers. Broadcasting from an unknown location, it is America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews. We are Nothing Worthwhile on the West Coast. It is a beautiful day here in Phoenix, Arizona. It is myself, Evan Moody. On the East Coast, Coral Springs, Florida, Andrew Gruthius. Groo, how the hell are you, my friend?
Good morning. Well, I wouldn't know what the weather's like outside. I haven't seen the outside since February.
Is that true?
No.
You haven't been outside at all?
No. I've been,
Wow, you are excitement personified.
I've been out there, just to, I don't know.
Well, apparently we're trying to get as many podcasts in before we all are dead. We have today I guess a special edition of Nothing Worthwhile.
Very special. This is Different Strokes Bicycle Man episode special.
We don't
Nothing Worthwhile.
We don't have Gordon Jump here. However, we are going to talk about Night.
Maybe it's more like that Growing Pains episode where Jason found that girl who was going to kill herself.
I don't remember that episode.
Oh, I do. It was very moving.
Okay. Well, we're going to tackle Night 1 of WrestleMania 36, taped on two closed sets, rumored to be Full Sail University in the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. We know that because of the coronavirus pandemic, the WWE had to have a lot of changes on the fly. Before we get to that, let's scale back to our last discussion, Andrew. It was Bret the Hitman Hart. We discussed Bret's upbringing, early training at the Hart Family Dungeon, Stampede Wrestling, his jump to the WWF, the Hart Foundation, his move to a single star, his IC title reigns, his WWF Championship reigns, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania, the Montreal Screwjob, his jump to WCW, the overall failures in WCW, his WWE Hall of Fame, and his eventual WWE return for WrestleMania 26. Groo, we asked if Bret Hart was indeed the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. We both said no, but he was damn close. Groo, final thoughts and feedback on our last podcast, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Well, the only thing we didn't cover was his last cholesterol count.
We packed it in pretty good.
Yeah, and it was our longest podcast ever, and we still didn't get to everything. It just shows you. Besides Goldberg, have we done like a single podcast on a superstar like that? We've done Bret Hart. We've done Goldberg. Have we done anybody else?
No. Did you enjoy? I've enjoyed those two podcasts.
Yes, very much. And it just shows you the Goldberg one and the Bret Hart one are two of the longer ones that we've done. It just shows you how much it takes. Like, we almost could have cut Hitman into two parts because I would have liked to have gotten into the Owen Hart stuff and more of the later. I don't know. It just it was great. It just felt like we missed a few things.
We did. I mean, we didn't touch upon Owen Hart's death too much, but we did. We touched upon it a little bit. WCW, he had the great match against Chris Benoit for the Owen tribute night. You can't get to everything. You got to make some edits here and there to keep the show flowing. I would like to discuss a couple of things because I did see some feedback from one Stephen and Andrew Gruthius on Facebook, and I'd like to discuss it right now.
Well, my feedback was just in response to his.
Well, let me get to it.
Okay.
Number one, he said, and I quote, meaning me, my hatred or my not liking of Hulk Hogan was contemptible. Contemptible was the actual word that he used. And so I don't know why he would say contemptible. About the only thing I said about Hulk Hogan was the following. Number one, unlike you, I don't consider Hogan Bundy at WrestleMania 2 a classic. And then I also questioned at WrestleMania 9 if it was the right move for Hogan to beat Yoko for the title. Bret had just lost, and so I openly questioned that. Was that other than that, I don't think I said one cross thing about the Hulkster.
Well, Steven and I, we share our affinity for Hulk Hogan, and what is always palpable is not your hatred of Hogan. You love Hogan. No.
Hulk Hogan.
No, I know what he's referring to. You like giving me crap about how much I love Hogan. That's what he's talking about. I know, but you usually
what I'll
do.
Say is this. No, let me, because we always throw it to you for the opinion. Let me just say this. I don't believe Hulk Hogan's place in the Mount Rushmore. I mean, the Rock's been doing a series of podcasts, YouTube videos from his gym while this is all going down, and he's talked about Hulk Hogan. He's on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. There's absolutely no doubt. But, his matches per se, I don't put that in rarefied air like maybe some other people do. I don't consider Hogan Bundy at WrestleMania 2 a classic. I consider Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18 or 19 or 17, 18 at WrestleMania a classic. Matter of fact, I don't really consider much that he did at WrestleMania in terms of a classic. The Hogan-Andre match was a bellwether match, but when I watch it today, it hasn't evolved, whereas I've always said somebody like Ric Flair, I could watch a match of his from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s, and still enjoy it today as Evan Moody, fan of wrestling in 2020.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. Hogan would never even himself say that he was a great wrestler, a great technician. But the thing is, and I actually noticed this while I was watching WrestleMania last night, the great thing about Hogan's WrestleMania matches and his regular matches as well is that the stakes always seemed to be so high. That's what sold the match. Like Hogan-Andre, in and of itself, it's not a great wrestling match. It's not even that exciting. What's exciting is the fact it was the build-up, was the stakes. That's
agreed.
And you need you need the whole package to sell the stakes. Like that. The way that Hogan and Andre both sold it beforehand. Building up to it, that takes a great amount of skill as well. So, and that's what was missing from a couple of the matches that from last night, but not all of them. There was some.
Listen, you're talking about that. That's a whole issue that you could spend hours upon talking about. I mean, wrestling, the way it's sold today, is a lot different from the 80s.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I don't even want to really broach even that subject, but I find your brother's choice of words contemptible, very, very curious, because if anything, I didn't even get into anything in terms of Hulk Hogan. I think it's a fair point to say I don't consider his match at Mania 2 a classic with Bundy in the big blue steel cage, number one. And number two, I think it's a fair point to say, did the WWF make the right call? They had Bret lose, an up-and-coming star, for the belt at WrestleMania 9. Hogan comes in, salt, boom, leg drop. Now he's beating Yoko. I mean, you questioned it. Why is not your hatred of Hulk Hogan contemptible? I think it's a fair point.
Because he hates on you. He hates on how you. It's how you respond to me. It's not how you respond to Hogan.
But furthermore, if you want to talk about response, number one, on Facebook, the first thing you post on Facebook is your voice is shot. So you've totally just trashed our product that we spent 2.5 hours on. My voice wasn't trashed. It was just...
I said my voice was shot.
Well, why would you even say that? Who cares?
Because we were talking to each other.
Protect the product.
We were talking to each other.
And I took actual, when I say offense, I say this lovingly. Your
peace and love?
Your comments about Miracle couldn't have been more off. You made some comment which you didn't say on the podcast, which you should have if that was really your thought. I said to you on the podcast, I liked Miracle the movie. It was a fine movie. I didn't I enjoyed the hockey. I enjoyed Kurt Russell's performance. But what I said was, which I didn't know at the time, it was very Disney. I compared it to, I think, Remember the Titans. Insert inspirational scene here. Insert coach inspirational speech. Players respond. Players are way too handsome, model looking. That was my critique. You put something on there like, oh, because it's a Disney movie, it's got an X on its back, and everyone's coming after it. It was, I mean, to me, I thought that was really kind of crappy or trashing my critique, putting yourself over in wrestling terms, because I said I enjoyed the movie, but I said in terms of, for me, just like you said, Jerry Maguire or whatever, not a sports movie. I don't see it as a top 10 sports movie. But then you put, like, because it's a Disney movie, it has an X on his back. That's crap, man.
Are you saying that I went into business for myself?
Oh, I mean, I just felt like I didn't say that on the podcast. I wasn't coming for it.
Because I'm not reading from a script. I don't, I got to say what comes into my head, which is usually not much. But like now, I don't remember what I said and when. I do remember, I don't take issue with it. I guess to put the two things together with Miracle, they did the Disney thing the best I've ever seen. Okay, so that's why I like it better than Remember the Titans was a little too cheesy. Maybe Miracle went right up to the limit and put in the perfect amount of, corn syrup. You know what I mean?
And by the way, I like Remember the Titans.
So do I, very much.
For what it is. It's a very enjoyable movie with very good performances. Do I put it on any kind of top list? No, but it was a really well done, slick movie.
Yeah.
But if I don't know. I felt like maybe my sports movies, and I want to get right to WrestleMania, but we're a little grittier, a little, I don't know. A little
off the cuff. Remember the Titans was probably a little too it was a little too moral. It was like trying to get a moral message across instead of just telling a story. Maybe that was it. Maybe that's the Disney part of that. You know what I mean?
And isn't that really, we've talked about, isn't that sometimes to the detriment of movies?
100%.
For example, last night we watched, and it was not a great movie. We watched X-Men: Dark Phoenix. It was on HBO, and I just feel like every nationality, it's always jammed in there. And it just sometimes these movies it feels a little forced. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I'll give you before we get to WrestleMania, I'll give you the perfect example from Remember the Titans. When they have that, they're up at the camp in Gettysburg, the mini camp, and then they do the run, and then he gives the big Gettysburg speech. That is basically, he's basically not talking to the players, he's talking to the audience. This is what the whole movie's about. Okay, so pay attention now. That's where the Disney part of it goes overboard. They didn't they didn't have such a scene like that, hey, guess what? Pay attention now as opposed to then, because we're going to tell you exactly what you're supposed to feel. So that never happened in a movie like Hoosiers. It didn't happen in Miracle. Okay? It did happen in Remember the Titans.
They didn't have a scene with forced exposition where a character goes, hey, this is a coach with a scarred past, and he's going to come to Country Town, USA, and take the local basketball.
You know what? You want to know something? They had that in Miracle, but they had it sprinkled out throughout. They didn't have one big scene with a huge reveal. Oh, my God, he was cut from the 1960 team. No, we know that pretty much from the beginning. But we don't have it in like a big, oh, my God, dun, 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 I
always felt the one movie that had the most blatant forced exposition was the Ellen Page character in Inception. She was like, wait, if we could go into our dreams, and and it was like,
I'll tell you, there are two things that make me laugh all the time that tell about exactly what you said. Number one, the best exposition joke ever was in the movie Spaceballs, where if you remember the scene, it's toward the beginning where they're devising the plan. Like once we kidnap the princess, we can force her father, King Roland, to give us the combination to the air shield so we can get every bit of fresh air from Planet Iridia and save Planet Spaceball. And then Rick Moranis, his dark helmet, literally turns to the camera and goes, "Everybody got that?"
Yes,
That's one of my favorite. And the other one is from the Austin Powers movie. The guy who keeps calling with the assignments, his name is Basil Exposition. So today we are going to go to Dr. Evil's lair, and we go it's literally Basil Exposition, and it's so funny to me how a lot of these movies, yes, they do tell us, literally they tell us right in our face what's about to happen or what's going on, and they usually do it through a character. A character explains something very complicated, and then another guy in the room says, "All right, so what you're telling me is that we're gonna get Lassie out of the barn and bring him to the so they say it in English, so that people who didn't understand all the mumbo jumbo. So there's always that, but you know what I mean?
I remember being in the theater watching Inception, and I am definitely not as a nuanced movie viewer as you, and I was like, Ellen Page is like, "Wait, Leonardo, so we could go back into our dreams?" And I'm like, well, what is she doing?
She actually probably called him Leonardo.
I'm like, oh, she's explaining the plot of the movie right now to me. And I'm like,
I should collect. We should. I mean,
then I'm pass the butter for the popcorn.
Yeah, we got nothing but time on our hands. We should put together a list of scenes like that. I would love to. I would love to see great exposition scenes. It's probably something I can look up. But in any case,
all right. Well, Andy, look, we're here to discuss night one of WrestleMania. We talked about literally taped segments over the last week or two. I mean, in some cases, the websites had rumored that the matches were already in the can some 1 to 2 weeks prior to the actual showing of WrestleMania. Again, on 2 closed sets, rumored to be Full Sail University and the Performance Center. A lot of changes on the fly, people dropping off the card, people coming into the card as, unfortunately, people were sick or had prior health concerns that pulled them off the card. Let me ask you really quick, Andy, right off the bat, should the WWE even have done WrestleMania? Should they have canceled it outright, or should they have rescheduled it?
Well, I would say they probably should have rescheduled. And this was before I watched it. It's got nothing to do with the quality of the show. It's got nothing to do with the quality of the show. I think that they should have taken the cue from all the other sports and all the other things. I actually do applaud them for going ahead with it. It took some guts, but in retrospect, they should have postponed it. You know.
So they interview. I did see an interview on ESPN with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He said Vince McMahon's theory is the show must go on. Apparently, some of the websites have said Vince is in the WWE. They're going to try to tape and put content out there moving forward, even possibly moving to another location if they need to in order to tape. So it looks like the WWE's theory, or the WWE is going to continue. Any thoughts on that? Any problem with that?
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying what I would have done.
Okay.
Because you want to because you want to put the best, especially for WrestleMania, you want to put the best foot forward, so it could be remembered. But they did, at least so far. Okay, they have what?
I want to. Well,
okay, we'll save that. But the point is,
I would save it because I want to. I want to review the night and then look at it as a totality, and then I will kind of give you my thoughts on.
Okay, so then I'll
whether or not they should move over.
All right. But, I'll stop short. Go ahead.
You were in front of your TV when the kickoff show and when it started?
Yes. Watch from beginning to end, or beginning to middle.
Well, let's see.
I had a nice bowl of Munchkins that I got from Dunkin' Donuts because they have their drive-through going. I had my mask on and I was good. And you know what I tried for the first time last night?
What'd you try?
White Castle frozen burgers.
How were they?
They weren't like the real thing, but they were an acceptable substitute. I have to say that.
I had it pretty good. Marie, we got for a housewarming gift an air fryer. Marie made chicken wings, and damn, they were delicious. I had some salad and chicken wings, and I had Mania on in the den, and it wasn't quite the same without you, brother, but what can you do? We made the best of it given these very, very difficult times.
Well, I didn't have my big munchkin with me, so I had to get a bunch of little munchkins.
Well, listen, Mania Night 1 opens with a very special message from WWE CEO Stephanie McMahon. And then we had actually a nice medley of America the Beautiful performances from the past WrestleMania.
Yeah, but wait, I want to stop you there for a second, though. Did you see some of the commentary about Stephanie's? Or are we gonna pick it apart one by one?
I'm gonna tell you why, Andy. I actually avoided going on websites prior to the show because I didn't want to see any spoilers.
No, not prior to the Mania show. Like since.
No, not really. No, I mean I went on a little bit afterwards, but
I'm
finding that certain websites are just so negative to the WWE, and I'm not saying they don't deserve criticism, but they're damned if they do, they damned if they don't. And some of the websites, I feel like they just love. It's a little bit even with Howard. Like I'm not, obviously Howard's changed, but it's just some of the sites are so mean, and it's like I don't know what did they say.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Just full disclosure, you know me. I hate the president because I hate what he's doing.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. However, people criticized Stephanie for saying we're doing it this way under these circumstances instead of addressing the actual virus. And then exactly. I see the look on your face. It's ridiculous. And they're saying, yes, we all know McMahon is in bed with Trump. They're friends and whatever. But I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Does everything have to do with that? Like, can't we just because I do want to see what other people think because I've got nobody here to talk to. So, I do want to see what other people think. And I read that and I was like, God damn it. Why do you have to bring politics into absolutely everything? She's introducing the goddamn show. Let her do it.
I feel like, that's really splitting hairs. I mean, we could read between the lines.
You're 100% right. Who cares?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but we had a medley of America the Beautiful that was actually quite nice. Opening package, continuing with the pirate theme with the British narrator, with sort of a bunch of inside jokes for prior Mania packages. Then they hit us up with the larger than life theme, and then my mom's calling and she's going to have to wait. Cue AC/DC for those about to rock MTV style video package, which is always so well done by the WWE. Too big for one night. Groo, might we see this being the deal moving forward? WrestleMania being split into 2 nights. We've sort of, actually, that was my theory about 3 or 4 years ago. Mania, you're talking about 16 matches. Maybe it is just too big for one night moving forward.
Well, they could certainly probably increase their revenue, and I think they'll wait and let this marinate and see how it goes down. But to me, I don't know. It might work. Would you do like 2 big stadium things, or would you do 2 arenas?
That's a great question. Knowing the WWE, they're going to try to go as big as possible for 2 stadium nights. And, I think ultimately Mania, if business is successful, and that's a lot of bigs given where we are in the country right now, but, they literally could have 1 week or 5 nights of programming in the host city, which would be massive for the city. And it would almost be like, I don't know, like a mini Woodstock. It's just, I don't know how they would do it, but you've got Hall of Fame, you got NXT, you got maybe 2 nights of live action with Mania. You got Access. I mean, you really could do 5, 6, 7 nights of just wonderful nerd out geek wrestling WWE fans if they so choose. And I believe knowing the fandom, because I think the WWE, with the advent of the network, and certainly with today's entertainment, I think that the WWE may not be as massive maybe as it was in the late 90s, but the fandom is more fervent than ever, and I think someone like you and I, if we had the money, we might go to 2 nights of Mania and NXT. I think we would.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there are obviously many ways to do it, and if it were me, I would probably do like sort of the first night would be kind of like the pre-show, which has become
like an arena.
Yeah, do that in an arena. Because if you try to, right out of the gate, if you try to do 2 equal nights, you risk the possibility of, underselling. And because, so if you build it up, if you build it like part one is actually part one, where things, get rolling and then reach a fever pitch, and then almost like a cliffhanger going right into night 2, something like that. If you make it for like that, maybe it could work. But as 2 completely separate nights trying to accomplish the same exact thing, I'm not sure if that's the way to at least do it in front of a crowd yet.
It's not a bad idea, but my only, if I was Vince McMahon, my only fear might be if you're sort of making a night 1 intro, that maybe that doesn't sell quite like your night 2. So if you're sort of delineating one night's maybe not as massive as the other, and I don't disagree, maybe an arena might be the way to go to night 1, but you'd still have to stack it pretty good to fill out that arena.
Yeah, but you know what? We would go anyway, because if we do it in an arena, that the seats are going to be better. We're going to be able to see better, and it'll be, it'll be fun. And that's where you could combine. That's where you can put, you can like load up half the card with your NXT matches.
Right, but that could be like, I have really good seats to see Joe Schmicky win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Yee! That's a joke, idiot. All right, let's get to it. Cue your host, Rob Gronkowski. He is your WrestleMania host with the most. He asks his good friend Mojo Rawley to join him. Let's get hype. They start Ric Flair chopping each other. As far as I could see, Rob Gronkowski and Mojo just did very effeminate dancing on the platform prior to every WrestleMania match. Anyway, let's go to match 1. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross. It's crisscross applesauce versus the Kabuki Warriors for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Something quite nice and unexpected. JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, joins Michael Cole for the SmackDown matches. I was glad to hear JBL on the mic again.
Me too. Because my criticisms of the current announcing teams, so I was actually happy to see him there.
No, I don't know your criticisms of the. You sound very serious of the current.
I'll tell you. Well, because.
Oh, here we go. Talk about splitting hairs.
The way
you probably were the one who criticized Stephanie McMahon. You rat bastard.
No. No, you know how I love Stephanie.
Okay,
all of her. Sorry, Trips. Sorry, Trips. Well, it's more of a criticism of the WWE product as a whole. The announcing teams have no flavor. They have no. You don't know who's talking really, like, and they oversell like nobody's business, and especially in an empty arena, they were the only throughout the entire show. The announcing teams were the only thing that annoyed me.
I thought they did a pretty good job overall, both teams. Actually, I thought the Raw team, I believe that was Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton, actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, but listen to what you just said. Matches. I believe, like, back in the day, we would have said, like, we would have said, you know what, it was Gorilla and Bobby, and they killed it, Okay,
but you're not getting. I don't think you're going to get that again, simply because they want to, on television, they want to present in this world of fakeness as legitimate a contest as possible. So the announcers these days call it pretty fair right down the middle. You're not getting which I like. When they had Samoa Joe fill in, and I've enjoyed.
That's good. Those are good. Like JBL being there, but where was the Miz? We know he couldn't. He
was sick.
Is that what? But he was able to do his Miz TV the night before, but he couldn't sit and commentate.
Andy, it wasn't the night before. These have all been pre-taped, maybe in the can for up to 2 weeks.
That's true. Good point.
Thank you.
But,
all right.
But this would have been a time. This would have been a time to bring in, some old school commentators, or maybe even a Shawn Michaels or something like that. Somebody to put there to I don't know. It just seemed very blah to me. I just don't
Shawn
enjoy
Michaels is a terrible announcer, number one. Number two, let's bring in some 90-year-old old school guy who's going to get the coronavirus and drop dead live on air.
Are you telling me you wouldn't love to see a match commentated by the Iron Sheik?
No, not at this point.
I'd pay money. I'd pay extra money to see it.
That would be like XWF or some tiny wrestling promotion that needed.
But give me like the Honky Tonk Man, or give me the $1 Million Man, or somebody who we're familiar with, who we know, just like, because it was, I don't know, they're just Michael Cole, just doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
I don't know what you mean by doesn't do it for you, but
he doesn't sell. He undersells by overselling. Like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in my life. All it was Asuka coming to the ring.
Your hatred of Michael Cole is contemptible. How dare you?
I don't hate Michael Cole as a person.
The guy's been off for 20 plus
years. You're right. He's a good play-by-play guy, but a good play-by-play guy needs a good color guy, and he doesn't have that. That's the thing. I don't think Corey Graves is a good color guy. Corey Graves is
the future voice of WWE. I mean, you have to understand.
Okay, he could be a good play-by-play guy, but you need good color guys.
Like, stop talking. 1 second. He's not traveling, but he did the pre-show.
Right.
And I mean, those days of having a play-by-play guy with a colorful heel announcer. I don't want to call it out and say you're in the pet, but that's just not going to happen anymore.
They don't have to be heelish. Corey Graves tries to be heelish sometimes, and so does JBL, and so does Jerry Lawler still. But it's like you never know. I don't know. There's something missing from it that, to me, kind of takes me out of it. Well, the more they talk, the more they get in the way. Just like I'm doing right now.
Stop talking. Let's get to the matches. And by the way, they pulled Jerry because he's over 70 and he's in the high risk. So they pulled Jerry off the announcing team right now, and he's home because of Jerry Lawler is an older guy. So
no, the Undertaker's 70, isn't he?
No, but actually, Jerry Lawler, you wouldn't know he's 70 with the amount of plastic surgery he's had on his face.
That's true. But you would with the amount of heart attacks and stuff.
That is true. All right, let's go back to it. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. We got Asuka with the Kabuki paint and the green spray gimmick that we love. Very muscular and tan referee. I'm not sure he's aware that there's a pandemic outside. Guy looks like he's happier than ever. You got Nikki Cross, who's a bigger girl with a very solid build. Here's one thing I did say, Andy. My prediction: Alexa Bliss, all joking aside, will not be wrestling by 2025. She's too tiny, and her body cannot withstand the punishment. That's one prediction I did put on my notes. I love the Kabuki Warriors. They run that evil Asian team gimmick that still works well. It was a physical match. Nikki Cross takes off, unzips her top, and reveals a sports bra. And
that's when I sat up. I was lying down, but that's when I sat up.
She was hulking up, and Michael Cole did say to each his own, which did put a smile on my face. Well, we get Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss with the win. They're the new women's tag team champs. Here's what I'll say about it, Groo. I thought the wrong team won. First of all, Alexa Bliss missed her finisher. She hits Kairi Sane on the legs. I thought it was a good match with a terrible ending. I thought here the WWE's got to do better with the pre-taped televised spot. Bliss hit her in the legs. The match is pre-taped. You can go back and retape the ending. You can edit it. You got to make sure that this television product is spot on. I think the Kabuki Warriors are the much better team. They got Asuka, Kairi Sane. I don't know. Listen, I think the wrong team won. Good match with a terrible ending. That was my thoughts. What did you think about the opening match?
Agree 100%. Very good match, but like you said, the wrong team won. But at this point in the show, I was just still getting used to the format, and there were things that took me out of the match, like hearing the referees. It's like I know they had them play up their talking.
Yes.
I know they did that. I think many of them who are not so great at that went overboard, and it was difficult to adjust to what I was watching. So during this match, I was still kind of like the juxtaposition between the announcing and the empty arena and everything was still kind of settling in. So I didn't enjoy watching this match, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good match. It was. That's what I'll say about it.
Okay. Let's go to match number 2. Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips join us for the call for the Raw match. Excuse me. Still Michael Cole and JBL. I was looking ahead on my notes. It's King Corbin versus Elias. Groo, I'm just going to give you some non sequitur thoughts as I typed. I think it's time to give Baron a more serious gimmick than the King. It's a bit too comedic, and it undersells the damage that he could inflict. As a top heel. We see the jump edits at the preview as Baron pushed Elias off the raised stage from SmackDown. It somewhat reminded me, Groo, of the old Savage ring bell shot to Steamboat back in the day, where then we see actually Ricky Steamboat getting speech therapy.
Yeah,
I thought maybe we could see Elias getting physical therapy after being thrown off the raised
Dr.
stage.
Bob Bonovich.
Right, Elias now wears a Hulk Hogan T-shirt. Apparently, Elias gets the win in a pretty good TV match. The match kept my attention, but again, I thought the wrong wrestler won. I think my thoughts: King Corbin needs to win to put him over as a credible heel. The King gimmick, it's not bad, but it's like it's almost too comedic for me, and I want to see if they really need that heel. I like to see them kind of unleash King Corbin to be a little bit more of a badass. I felt like Elias did not need the win to keep him up. He's mostly turned into a comedy gimmick. So actually, I think both guys are a little hamstrung by their gimmicks. The match kept my attention. It wasn't bad. But again, I thought I probably would have went with King Corbin. It's not a huge match in the pantheon of WrestleMania, but that's my thoughts on that match.
Yeah, I didn't like the match, and I did. Even though I am a fan of Elias, they've turned him into, and I've said this before, they've turned him into Leaping Lanny Poffo.
I don't like. I liked him better as the Drifter.
Yes.
I don't know what they did. Now it's like he's trying to pull off like the Rock concerts, and it's just, I liked him when he was a little bit more mysterious with just that one note on the guitar, and now he's singing songs in every town. And
yeah, he's Leaping Lanny Poffo.
I don't know about that,
but all right, maybe the genius making fun of the town in the poems. But either way, they've been burying this guy they had him on a good run, in the beginning, and then they just buried him. And now they're giving him a prime spot at WrestleMania, and they're basically giving Corbin.
We got two nights, so we got 2 nights to fill.
That's true. But also, you have Corbin giving 90% of the offense, and then Elias coming out of nowhere with the roll-up win. It does nothing for either of them. It hurts Corbin and keeps Elias on the same plane. That took us from we didn't get anywhere with that. It was filler. And I don't like Corbin anyway. I just don't like. I haven't bought into any gimmick that he's had so far.
Okay.
Because I think it gets in the way of what he's really able to do.
Your hatred for Baron Corbin is contemptible.
I didn't say. Didn't use the word hate.
Listen, it's a running joke. Just go with it. All right. Stop putting yourself over and work with your teammate. Thank you. All right. Now we have Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips making the call for this Raw match. I was kind of surprised they went right into it, which could have been possible main event. Becky Lynch versus the cage fighter Shayna Baszler. A great promo package, Groo, emphasizing Baszler's cage fighting MMA background against Lynch's pure toughness as the champ. Very, very physical match between the two ladies. Referees openly admonishing wrestlers, as you said, in this TV environment, maybe to put some filler out there. Best match of the early night. I did enjoy the play-by-play. It flowed well with the physicality in the ring. Becky Lynch really selling her frustration, being unable to put away Shayna Baszler. Baszler puts Becky in her own submission to disarm her. Becky's face and Baszler's ass. I hit pause for a moment to be alone. To be alone. Baszler can really be that badass heel. She's got that great look with the hair and the black mouthpiece. Becky gets the win. Here's what I said about the match. The right person wins, but again, it was like a pin of convenience, which I did not like. It was like Becky just kind of did a roll-up, and then Baszler got caught with her shoulders to the ground. It wasn't a dominating win, and I know what they're trying to do here, which they're probably going to run these two ladies, through possibly SummerSlam if there's wrestling to be had. It's just, I think, in combination with the prior WrestleMania win, I didn't feel satisfied. I think Becky is the right call here because she's the most over wrestler in the company, and I think she should be the champ right now. But it just, the win felt a little empty, and that's what I'll say about it.
I'll disagree with that. I thought the win was great. I thought the match was great, and this is women's wrestling I'm talking about. So you should give me some props for that. This match was exciting. I like the build-up. I will
give you no props, and may God have mercy on your soul.
The only thing, and I'm being completely honest when I say this, the only thing that bothered me about this match was the commentary. Like, they were getting in the way. They really were. Shayna Baszler! Shayna Baszler! Shayna Baszler! Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever... It's like, chill out. It's a couple broads wrestling. Let's just relax, sit back, have a beer, and enjoy it.
You know what it is? I feel like if I could say day, you'd say night.
What do you mean? We just agreed.
You tell me it's black when I know that it's white. It's always a shame. It's just the same. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
I thought I enjoyed the commentary. I thought the match. I enjoyed the match. But you're talking about last WrestleMania. She got Ronda in that same kind of roll-up of convenience where she just kind of, again, escapes beating the cage fighter by the hairs of her chinny chin chin. And I felt like
there was some hair, and there were some hairs on there too.
Come on! I felt like it was the same. It was the same roll-up finish as a year ago.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about these. I didn't have that in my head. I really thought from start to finish this was an exciting match. And yeah, Becky had to win, I think. What the match needed to do was establish Baszler as a legit contender, and it did, because she didn't lose. She didn't get beat. She lost, but she didn't get beat, and she had a very good match.
And I know what they're trying to do there. I think that from what I've read, somebody like a Triple H is a huge fan of Baszler, whereas I don't think, from what I've read, Vince is very high on Baszler, simply for the reason, and I'm not trying to sound shallow, but Baszler she's a fighter. Lynch, Charlotte Flair, there's a beauty there, there's a femininity there that the WWE likes to, and I'm not trying to be joking, and I don't want it, but there's a femininity there that they like to put across with their female wrestlers. No, come on, I'm being serious.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, I'm being serious. Baszler.
I know exactly what you're saying.
This is why he shits all over when I try to make a legit point. Baszler is very she's no bones, a physical fighter. She's not going to be Miss March, she's a cage fighter, whereas the WWE traditionally they're champs, they're badass athletic girls, but there's a beauty there that they like to put across. Anyway,
I'll agree with that.
Want to run the show?
Did you see that? Did you see that shot of Charlotte getting out of the limo?
Well, Charlotte to me is their number one. I'm going to say I was going to save it, but to me, Charlotte is their number one performer right now on the roster.
Is she married?
No, she's dating. I think she's engaged to Andrade. All right, let's move to it.
He's got nothing on me, right?
All right, I'm moving on. Undertaker Last Ride miniseries on the WWE Network. That looks really, really good. Nice promo for some future programming on the network. All right, Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. Sami Zayn is your champ. Sami Zayn comes down apparently with a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones theme song. I mean, a good psychology or annoying psychology, as there's long delays as Sami jumps in and out of the ring, building up that frustration. Sami does sell very, very well. Bryan just beating down on Sami Zayn. So early on, I knew that Sami Zayn was going to get the chicken shit heel win because, Bryan was absolutely pummeling him. And as I said, Bryan hulks up, kicks. We get Cesaro and Nakamura doing run-ins with Drew Gulak. We get a hell of a kick out of nowhere. Sami Zayn is your winner. I thought the match, told a good story. I have no problem with Sami Zayn holding on to the win because he's kind of being sold to us as what I like to call that chicken shit heel champ. He's got his boys behind him, and I think watching it, and I don't think it's any fault of the WWE. There's just so many spots, but you got guys like Nakamura and Cesaro who are just really talented wrestlers who have been reduced to sidemen run-ins during a match. And Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn are very talented wrestlers on their own, but it talks about the enormity of the WWE's roster. Like, for me, a guy like Cesaro, I don't know, I would have pushed him to the moon 4 or 5 years ago. But anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Well, he did have his own match on the pre-show.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
Nakamura didn't.
I understand. I'm just... Okay. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on the match?
The match itself was okay. I thought it was too much going on. There were too many people there. Like, let it just be Bryan versus who was it? Sami Zayn. And let the lackeys do run-ins. They don't need to all be there. Like, excuse me.
They didn't know. If you remember, Gulak dumped both of them over the barrier, and they were gone for a decent amount of the match.
Oh, yeah.
My thing is this. Listen, I don't think that that's not a legit criticism, but given this television taping environment, they're looking for, I think, distractions to, they're looking for more extraneous stimuli because just to have the two guys and the referee in the ring, it's kind of barren. So I kind of get with some of the run-ins because they're just trying to keep it, they're trying to just keep away from
run-ins are okay, but like when do they have to come to the ring with them? Like let them sell themselves. They don't need. I don't know. It seemed like it was too much. The match itself was fine. Again, it's Bryan getting most of the offense, and then Sami Zayn coming up with the win. It seems like that's happening too often, right?
Okay. Yeah. In this instance, if you want to compare it to the prior match, they've sold Sami Zayn as an arrogant, big talker, but he's a chicken shit kind of guy. So I didn't have a problem with the ending because that's how they've sold Sami the whole time. He talks a lot and he gets the win. He gets the bullcrap win, and he just kind of gets out of there and he holds on to the belt.
All right, that's fair.
That's how they sold him. Whereas something like Becky Lynch, they've sold her as the face of the company, dominating champ, a Stone Cold type. And again, at WrestleMania, she kind of gets that angle roll up where she just beats maybe the more dominant opponent, and sort of escapes with the win.
Okay, but then with Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, their feud. This is WrestleMania. This is where you end feuds and begin them again. And this basically came straight from Raw or SmackDown, whichever one they're on. But
they're on SmackDown, number one. Get it right. And number two, I don't disagree with you there. However, they're in an unknown future. So
right.
I think those expectations of WrestleMania have to be somewhat tempered or thrown out the window because
fair enough.
Who knows what the taping schedule and how they're going to proceed from here?
I'll give you that. So, considering the circumstances, it was a good match. 3 out of 4 stars.
All right. We get a promo for an Edge special on the WWE Network. That looked really, really good. Next up, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Triple Threat Ladder Match, which is no longer the teams because apparently The Miz is out ill. Each team has selected one wrestler to be in the 3-way triple threat. So representing the New Day, we have Kofi Kingston. Representing the Usos, we have Jimmy Uso. Representing the Miz and Morrison, it is John Morrison. We got JBL on the mic setting up the ladder match. Solid mid-card match. Morrison is a really talented wrestler, lots of high-flying spots. I like Jimmy Uso telling Kofi to eat that. Your face is flat like a pancake. Miz and Morrison retain as Morrison.
Did somebody say like Kofi's chest?
Yeah, his chest is in really, really bad shape.
It's like caving in.
Yeah, it's caving in. Well, there's tons of YouTube videos on that. Hey, honey.
Hi, babe.
Miz and Morrison retain as Morrison somehow holds onto the belts as they all had their hand on the belts on that top piece. Again, it was not a clear finish, but it's one I could live with. I thought Miz and Morrison should remain champs. They make entertaining champs, so it was a good match. So I'm okay with it. Again, it was a weird ending. Everyone had their hands on the belts on the metal piece that held the belts, and then somehow Morrison ends up with the actual belt, and then the other two didn't. Yeah. So again, I like Miz and Morrison. I think right now they're fine to hold on to the belts. So I was okay with the finish.
So this was like a singles yet tag team triple threat title ladder match. Can you throw every single possible kind of match in there? This one, as decent as it was, and I did enjoy everything about it that you did, it probably should have been postponed. This is one you could have taken off the card because it doesn't mean anything. Again, it doesn't mean anything. A tag team championship needs to be won by both, not one. And it's not
but they don't do it much. But we've had similar circumstances, not because of illness, but they've done single guys winning tag belts before. It doesn't happen often. But
yeah, I just think for WrestleMania they should have just said, you know what, let's do this when we're, this one they could, and it doesn't mean it wasn't good.
Right.
To me, it hurts the people who weren't involved.
You don't think that those three guys gave us 30 minutes of pretty solid television?
They sure as hell did. I loved what they did. I'm just saying, I'm thinking of like the other guys.
What'd you think of the finish?
The finish was great. It was ambiguous. It was it's sort of a cliffhanger kind of thing. We know who still has the titles, but the finish is murky. A lot of these finishes are murky, which is good.
Yeah. Actually, my thing is, if you're going to WrestleMania, I don't like big pay-per-views with murky finishes like WrestleMania, SummerSlam. I get it a little bit. I wouldn't say you don't have to have no murky finishes, but WrestleMania, I don't want to see like a quick roll-up or like a hell of a kick out of nowhere. Like I get it and I understand it, but Raw, SmackDown, I don't care.
Yes, WrestleMania needs to be more definitive, but this is clearly a very different kind of WrestleMania.
Okay.
So,
all right. So you have the Miz and Morrison retain. They hold the belts. We get a WWE Network promo. Up next is Kevin Owens versus the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins.
I don't understand why they are. Hey, take it easy. Take it easy there.
Bruce said, "Take it easy, don't kiss me." In front of
Oh, jeez. All right. Just
my favorite part.
All right, you guys go make out and put your notes up against the screen, so I'll take the rest of this.
Go ahead. Let me hear your point. Let me hear your point about you said. Wait a second. Go ahead.
Hi, Marie. I forgot what I was going to say. Continue.
Well, we got Kevin Owens versus the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Okay. Keep going.
Did you have any point you wanted to say before I get to the actual match?
just to reiterate, this is a different kind of WrestleMania, and I see what they're trying to do, and as long the matches, if you look at the matches that we've looked at so far, there isn't a clunker in the bunch, and so if they're giving us good matches, we could deal with these ambiguous finishes. Each match has been an entertaining match, and that's something that we haven't. You know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree with you. I just giving you my preference. I think overall, yes, the WWE put on a solid night of entertainment to take us away from this crap for one night. So yes,
yeah.
So I understand. I just my preference for those big pay-per-views is give us a solid ending. But some of it does. Like I think the Sami Zayn, it makes sense because that's how they sold Sami Zayn all along.
Yeah, but you know what?
But I'm splitting hairs. But if I'm splitting hairs, Becky Lynch has literally been sold to us as a female version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. They've made a lot of allusions to that. So, but I get it. Baszler is a real badass.
I like the Ivan Drago mouth guard.
Yes, I like that too on her. Yes, I agree. It's splitting hairs. All right, let's get to Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. We have a Falcon Arrow on the apron, very painful. Rollins openly taunting Owens during the match. One thing I did notice was a lot of a liberal use of the word bitch during moments of the matches. I mean, for a very PG product, the word bitch was flying around there like there was no tomorrow. I felt like I was back in '98 watching like a Dice Clay comedy routine.
Yeah. Hey, I heard in the build up to Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch, I heard she said, "I'm going to tear the shit out of you." I heard an S-bomb in there.
I think on Hulu I watched Raw one night and Owens called Rollins a dipshit.
Yeah, there's
I was like, whoa.
We're
second.
We're headed.
WWE's edgier than Howard Stern. Oh, okay. All right. So here's the thing. Good back and forth between Rollins and Owens. These guys I consider the standard bearers for Raw. Let's see. We have a buckle bomb, and then Rollins gives him 2 super kicks into an Owens pop-up power bomb. Very solid match. We get a ring bell to the face on Owens, a DQ win by Owens, and then I was like, "Oh my God, this is a bullshit ending for Mania. This is not Raw or SmackDown. This is WrestleMania. You should never have a DQ finish it." Wait. Hold on. Owens calls out Rollins and calls him a bitch. Let's finish this match. Owens amps it up. We got a stare shot. Rollins saying I could do whatever I want, meaning there was a no DQ finish. I thought that was a nice touch. You reap what you sow. Rollins gasping in pain. We get a stunner, and Owens wins. Actually, we had that huge WrestleMania sign spot where Owens jumps off the WrestleMania sign onto the throne. Rollins on the table. Actually, for the most part, I love this match.
Me too.
I would have said, though, maybe I'm off here. I probably would have given the win to Rollins because I do believe he is the standard bearer for Monday Night Raw. I think he's the guy the go-to guy. But overall, Groo, I was very happy with the match. And as far as my notes, it was the best match of the night so far. Rollins versus Owens. Thought they delivered on television.
100%. I love the false finish, and I said this before the match, they had legitimate heat going into this, especially with Owens really took the situation and ran with it, like with the whole performance center thing and the changes to everything. And this was his night, and he was awesome. and so was Rollins. And it was This is the match that I would have loved to have seen in front of a crowd.
Yes,
like the crowd would have eaten this one up.
Yes.
So both guys did a fantastic job, and I can see your point with the outcome, but to me, this was Owens' time to shine.
Right, and I think if anything, that's going to only accentuate Seth Rollins moving forward because he did.
It didn't hurt. It did not hurt Rollins.
Yeah, he did the job. He did the job. So great match. Up next, we have an R-Truth segment on the raised stage with his 24/7 championship, asking for Mojo and the Gronk to sort of give him a pause because he's running around always protecting the belt. Gronk does a surprise pin on R-Truth, and then Mojo Rawley dumps out Gronk and picks up the win. Mojo Rawley, your new 24/7 champ, dumps a surprise Gronk. Maybe do we see Mojo versus the Gronk somewhere in the future?
Probably, but I didn't
do
like.
You care?
No, I didn't like. Well, on a Raw or a SmackDown, this would be okay. Not on WrestleMania. Leave it alone. Gronk. I mean, you mentioned Gronk. Hosting in the beginning, and I didn't really say anything, but this was not necessary, and I didn't like.
No.
I didn't like how. I didn't like that he was doing it, and I didn't like what he did. Like it's almost like he was making it about him, and it's not about him.
Well, if you want to get to the Gronk thing, I mean, the WWE was promising us that he was going to really be integrated into the show and do a lot of maybe different spots. And basically, as far as I could tell, him hosting was just him standing on a raised stage, dancing like an idiot before every match,
botching teleprompter speeches.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think, listen, the Gronk, I think, could be an interesting personality moving forward.
Well, maybe in night two, there'll be some more involvement. I don't know, but right now he's just.
I agree.
It seemed like filler, and it wasn't entertaining to me.
Now that's where, if you want to do a host, to me, maybe that's where you bring an old school wrestler or or Stone Cold, something where you can integrate the backstage segments and. Maybe you're not going to get a match, but it would have been interesting to see.
Right, but you know what? The host should do more than just appear twice during the telecast and do some silly shit. The host should be the host should at least be the ring announcer for the night. Because I'll tell you another thing that bothered me about the whole thing. What?
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say
what am I going to say?
Go ahead.
What am I going to say?
Did you not like that they had a ring announcer in the arena?
I did, except one thing that I've told you, and this was when they started doing the Performance Center SmackDowns and Raws. They're pretending that they're in a full arena, and that does not come off. You disagree?
No, listen, they didn't do pyro, and they're doing a lot of laser and a lot of lights.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
I understand it, Andy, but you're talking about a worked gimmick. They got to fill the set. You can't just look at two guys scrappling in a choreographed athletic entertainment piece. You need filler to sort of present it.
No, that you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying, as usual. You're putting yourself over. God damn it!
I've never done that, and I never will. Wait, what?
Well, then go ahead.
No, my only issue was like with the entrances and the ring announcing. They're doing it like the ring announcer. I forgot his name, but he's literally screaming like as if there are 80 million fans there, and that's where I would have loved to have seen like a Stone Cold, do all the ring announcing and say, so we got over here in this corner, what, you going to win today? Oh, you're weighing 230 pounds from Austin, Texas. It's whoever you are, but you don't matter. Here, give me a beer. Like something like that. Like do something fun with it instead of just saying, and here from the... Like the trained, just like, it's like, did they audition for this like they were auditioning for Shakespeare? It's like, I just... When you have no crowd and when you have all these shortcomings, if you don't adjust them, you can see. So if you watch it again, or you'll watch it tonight, and it'll be the same thing, you might see what I'm talking about if you pay closer attention to that.
What I would have done differently would have been I would have integrated the host into backstage segments. Let's just.
But then it's another Raw. Then it's not WrestleMania.
Are you going to just talk over me? Are you going to just talk over me?
Yes.
It would have been. It would have. Well, why couldn't you have done something where you had the Gronk walk by and see Bill Goldberg, and they had work? That would have been interesting. If you just take Gronk, even if you had another wrestler, if you took another Hall of Famer, let's say you took Stone Cold, and then you see him, you see him square off backstage, have some words with Braun Strowman. You've never seen those two guys.
I'll tell you why. Because the entire show is backstage at this point.
They don't do a whole backstage. You strategically place out segments.
No, but what I'm saying is what I'm
you're stupid right now.
I'm not. I'm saying listen.
You're not going to do 500 backstage segments.
No, but what I'm saying is there's no reason to do anything backstage because everything is backstage at this point. There's no crowd. So it's like what's the difference? It's something you have to get used to, I guess, and I'm just not used to it yet. That's all.
Well, speaking of backstage segments, you get one backstage segment with Paul Heyman basically calling Drew McIntyre again a bitch, and basically calling him out as a fraud, setting up the stage for, I guess, the Drew McIntyre win tonight at night 2 of WrestleMania. All right, let's get to it. Cause
you know what? That interview would have been much better if they did it like in the arena or in the performance center, but like in one of the seats, everything should have taken place like right there.
All right, thank you, Kevin Dunn. All right, let's get to Universal Championship Braun Strowman versus the champ Bill Goldberg. JBL calls Goldberg as one of the greatest of all time. We know that this match is going to be violent and going to be quick. Speaking of which, I did actually enjoy the Goldberg entrance, like walking past like the water cooler in like the hallway of the office of the Performance Center.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, my notes say Strowman has to go over, right? And 4 power slams later, wow. I wrote, talk about a quickie. Goldberg is done. I mean, Goldberg's got to be done here. They can't bring him back after that kind of a match. So I'm going to say right now, Goldberg's great run is over. We have Strowman defeat Bill Goldberg for the Universal Championship. The match itself was garbage. I'm intrigued to see what they could do with Strowman as Universal Champion. They probably should have put the belt on Strowman a year or two ago when he had some real massive heat with Lesnar. But I'll take it. We could probably see some interesting stuff with The Fiend versus Strowman as the former members of the Wyatt family clash maybe over the summer, given if they have wrestling. So, listen, Strowman had to go over on Goldberg. I thought the match, Goldberg gets 3 spears, and that was it. It was all Strowman from there. I think they could have. The match had to be short. I think it could have been better crafted.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad for me to see Goldberg just go out with very limited offense, but anyway, it was the right call. Strowman is your champion. Go ahead.
They'll bring Goldberg back.
No, there's no way.
No, they'll bring him back for Saudi Arabia, and he'll be a pay-per-view attraction 2 or 3 times a year. That's what'll happen. But
want to make a bet on that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll bet $25. There's no way the match was over in 3 minutes. He got 3 bullcrap spears.
But that's happened before.
Come on.
That's happened before.
The guy's 53 years old. They're not bringing him back. He's done. He's retired.
I hope so, but I don't think so. But it also speaks to they could go one of 2 ways. All right? Now, I've heard that there's some backstage heat with Roman Reigns for pulling out, even though no one can fault him for pulling out. At least I can't. This is some serious shit. But obviously they were going to put the title on Roman Reigns. So now, is Braun Strowman just a placeholder? Are they going to put it on Reigns when he comes back?
Are you asking me, or are you just?
I'm asking what you think.
I think it's Donald Trump's fault.
We know it is, but no. What do you think? Like.
Well, first of all,
Strowman was a last-minute replacement, and now he's got the title. So obviously he wasn't part of their long-term plans with the Universal title. Now he's a factor. So is this going to ignite a Strowman Reigns program?
Well, a couple of things. So you've asked me a couple of things. So now you're going to zip the lips and hear what the truth is. Number one, I think there is some fault. There. Stop talking and let me speak. Okay.
My brother's loving this right now. He can feel your anger.
Well, I'm trying to do a decent broadcast, but you're talking over me. So if you want my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. Number one, stop with that stupid smirk on your face. Number two, I believe there is some. We've said this on the phone prior. I believe that there is a little bit of, I'm not going to say fault. You've got to do what's best for your health and well-being. However, the problem I have with Roman Reigns is he flew down to Orlando for the taping and then backed out prior to the taping because somehow he was concerned. Now, there's some talk that The Miz was sick, so then everybody got concerned and they pulled The Miz out. But my thing is, if he doesn't fly down to Orlando, I understand because we know that this thing is spread somewhat through travel-related exposure. Go on the CDC website. But you're talking about the biggest show of the year, and you're talking about he's a top 5 guy in the company. You have to do what's right for your safety and well-being, and the WWE is certainly not going to push him. They don't want to have bad PR. I find it a bit curious, and I think that's legitimate criticism, for a guy to fly all the way down to Orlando. They're about to tape this big match. All of a sudden he goes, no, I have concerns about my safety. I have some fault with that. Now, to the actual Braun Strowman, Goldberg, and where do they go from here, we've seen it a million times. We've seen it. We saw it with, you can go to New York Yankee lore with Wally, Pip, and Lou Gehrig. I think this is a great opportunity for Braun Strowman. And to me, right now, I'm not going to ever, I'm not saying put Roman Reigns on the back burner, but I gave the belt to Braun Strowman. Let me see what we could do with it. Now, it's difficult. It's difficult times because we're not really touring, and it's hard to gauge whether or not you don't have an audience reaction to see whether Braun Strowman is. But to me, the guy showed up. The guy did what was asked to be done, and I think it's never too late. But really, 2 years ago, we had incredible heat with Lesnar, and for some reason, they just didn't want to pull the trigger. But right now, Braun's your champ, and I would probably see where I can go with him as champ.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I would want them to do. How long before they do like a title versus title? Like, could we get like a Strowman versus Lesnar at assuming Lesnar wins tomorrow?
Well, it's Night of Champions, tonight? And it's Night of Champions, and I don't think Lesnar's winning. But let's save that for tomorrow's review.
Okay.
But I think the one thing about wrestling that's great is every problem is an opportunity. Just like we talked about. The Montreal Screwjob, you've just lost your top guy. There's always talented guys and gals on the roster. The roster is so deep. You got Braun Strowman. I would not be so quick to take the belt off him. And whether or not he feuds with Roman Reigns, that's another question. They've certainly scrapped before. They could run with it, but I just feel like it's Braun's time to see whether or not he could do anything with the belt. So I would go with Braun Strowman for the time being. Yeah,
and I guess once you get crowds back, if that ever happens, that will determine some things too. Crowd reactions to.
So apparently, Vince McMahon did take part in a phone call yesterday with Donald Trump and all the commissioners of the major sports leagues, including the WWE. And right now, the government is saying the earliest projected outcome that which you could have sporting events with fans could be August. So I just read it real quick. I have no truth to that. So hopefully the WWE gets back in touring in August. I obviously
that's strange because if it was a call with Trump, I would have figured he would say we'd be ready to go next week.
Okay.
Hey, you brought it up.
I brought up that I think that's a legitimate projection. I mean, I don't sit there and blame the guy for every little thing. Number one, and number two, here's the reality of it. And I'm just going to say this: I don't want to get into any kind of rant. But you're talking about now 30% unemployment and possibly the worst recession since World War II. And so if you read economic websites, CNBC, Fox Business, at some point you got to get this country back up and running and working again, because the outcome of the virus, of people not working, could literally be worse than the outcome of the virus. So I'm not advocating to everyone to get out back on the streets tomorrow. But at some point, a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you got to get people back on the job, or else there could be really, really, really terrible consequences. That's just my belief. I'm staying home for the time being, but I don't think it's out of the ordinary for somebody to go, you know what? At some point, we got to get people back to work, because the consequences of that may be even worse than the consequences of this virus. That's just my own personal belief.
I agree with a lot of what you said. The only problem, it's true. We do. Otherwise, the longer we are crippled like this, the longer it's going to take to get back to where we were. But at the same time, like the administration is saying that, and they're also playing their petty games with, like, well, you don't need these ventilators, you don't need all these things, you don't need, like, they're downplaying the seriousness of the virus while they're trying to up the feelings about the economy, which is basically what they were running on. And I understand it. It's just I can't get past the fact that the death toll is just staggering. And I agree with you. We're screwed either way. But it's just, look, without getting political any more than this, just the leadership is not acceptable to me. But that's it. That's it. The decisions are different than the actual moral leadership. And the moral leadership to me is atrocious. But that's it. There's nothing more that needs to be said. Well, in my opinion.
Right, that's from your opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into a whole political rant, nor do I ever want to have a podcast in regards to it. I don't. I agree with some of the stuff you say, and I disagree vehemently with some of the stuff you're saying. But that's
like what
makes America.
Which one do you disagree? Do you vehemently disagree with? Just curious.
I don't. Well, if you talk about downplaying, why would you not mention Bill de Blasio, who openly told New York,
he's horrible.
Go to Broadway plays.
You're 1,000,000% correct. He's always been a buffoon.
I agree that there's legitimate criticism of the administration that early on that this was downplayed. But I mean, I think over the last month or so, or whatever, 6 weeks, they've done. I mean, you can't expect the government to swoop in and save everybody. That's not just a legitimate function of government.
I agree with that.
What other country is now issuing checks to keep people economically afloat? I mean, there's just so much greatness in this country, but I think there is legitimate criticism there. But I don't know how much more people in government can be doing right now. I don't read every little thing. But from what I'm reading, they're trying to do what they feel is best to stop this. They've got this. Don't go around order till the end of April. But I mean, it's my belief that I agree. You want to keep people safe and healthy, but at some point you got to aspire to get stuff back up and running, because people are losing jobs, and then you're going to get civil unrest in the streets. You're going to get suicide. It's really really terrible stuff. So
yes,
and that's all I want to say about it. I don't want to get into a whole thing right now, because
I agree. Actually agree with everything you just said. The only thing that bothers me about it is the way in which it's being handled, at least from a communicative standpoint. That's all.
Fair enough.
That's all.
All right, let's communicate a little further on WrestleMania. We get a promo, Groo, for WrestleMania 37. It's going to be in LA, baby. It's a long ways away. Hopefully we'll be able to get there safe and sound as well. All right, here's the big one.
I wish they would give us, you know what I wish they would do right now? I wish they would give us the chance to, because we haven't received the refund yet for this year's. Let us trade our tickets for this year's for next year's.
What about our hotel? What about our hotel refund?
I'm having trouble with that. I'm still working on it though.
Rat bastards.
I know, but
I could actually use that money. I mean,
so could I. But in any case,
hold on. This is interesting. They're not refunding customers who had cancellations due to COVID.
Because it's got nothing to do. You know, it's all about the fine print, and it's got nothing to do with. I'll talk to you about it off the air. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it's not over yet. I still,
for example, JetBlue is giving me like a credit if I fly again. So
yeah, they don't want to. Nobody wants to refund anybody because obviously they need the money because they're losing billions. But wouldn't it be cool if they gave people who have tickets a chance to exchange them for next year's?
That's true. Could be.
Yeah, that would save us a whole bunch of, like we could just say, "Yep, we got tickets. We're good. We're ready to go."
Well, that's one. Hopefully, that's one could dream. So WrestleMania 37, it's in LA. Let's get to the big one, the main event of the evening, so to speak. A lot of stuff to talk about. What was
the last match we talked about? Was that Rollins?
Strowman versus Goldberg.
Strowman-Goldberg.
We have the final match of the evening. It's a boneyard match. It's the Undertaker versus AJ Styles. We get the cool promo package. It's a great package as both AJ and Taker have really amped up the verbiage. And as I said on my notes, now we're talking. This is what I wanted to see being in a pre-taped television environment. We've got some production, finally. And again, this goes back to, and it's already been commented, I know, online, some of the earlier stuff in 2017 that Matt Hardy did as the Broken character in TNA, some of these pre-taped matches. So we've got AJ, we've got some Swerve, we got Druids and all. We've got Undertaker sort of back as this American badass, Taker on the motorcycle with the Metallica intro. We get legit shots to the casket. It's opened, and there's AJ Styles with the Druids and all. Undertaker calls AJ a bitch. As we said earlier, lots of bitch being tossed around. We get a grass shot as AJ throws grass in Undertaker's eyes. We get Anderson and Gallows with the Druids showing up. We get an early Undertaker beatdown as AJ taunts Taker. He's calling out Michelle, his wife. Undertaker loses his bandana, revealing even more male pattern baldness, Groo. He tells him to stay down, old man.
I believe it's alopecia areata.
That's right. We have the first ever fence spot in a wrestling match. You just don't see these kind of things anymore.
Damn right.
And Undertaker is beaten down. He gives the F finger, calls him a broken down old bitch. Oh, wait a second. Taker is behind AJ in the excavator. My God, very John Carpenter. There was an 80s feel to the segment. It did have that music. AJ, of course, beaten down, and he tells Taker he is sorry. Undertaker reveals he dumps the ground. He dumps the dirt into AJ's grave. He goes off on the motorcycle. Cue Metallica, and off we go. Undertaker gives the arms up. We see even the Undertaker symbol in laser lights on the old barn next to the grave. Undertaker rides off in darkness. First of all, Groo, what did you think of the overall segment?
5 stars, man. It was awesome. I mean, it was everything that the 80s wrestling fan would find revolting, but I still loved it because it was necessary to do it that way because of the circumstances, and they seized the opportunity and they turned it into a freaking horror film. It was great. It was a blast. The Undertaker was awesome. AJ was awesome. What the dialogue between the two of them were great. The only thing I probably would have downplayed the piped in music a little bit, just because I liked it, but remember, it's a wrestling show, so it's like try to. They didn't even go for. They didn't even try to pretend this was real in any way, and that's fine. But I would have liked them to maybe scale that back a little bit and just let these guys go at it. But still, the way it was filmed, the way it was produced, and the effort by both of them, and I love that little swerve at the end with Undertaker, hey man, you fought it. Come on, man, give it to me, bring it in, and then just kicking him into the grave. It was awesome. I love this. This was beautiful.
Yeah, the actual swerve of him behind AJ and the excavator was probably the coolest spot. I kept on waiting for one more sort of big kind of swerve or some kind of interesting. I think that these taped spots on television sets could offer really endless possibilities of how maybe wrestling could be presented in the future.
Well, I was texting you while I was watching, and were you watching live, or did you watch later?
I was watching live, but I was about probably 15 minutes behind you because, I paused. We were eating dinner and stuff, so I paused. So I didn't want to respond because I wanted to see.
Pause for a little pickle tickle.
Yeah, well, no, for a little chicken wings. You
gave Palm the night off.
Right.
But no, actually, well, what do you think? I really and this I texted you at the time. After AJ put Undertaker in the grave, okay, and thought it was over, and then he showed up behind him, obviously. Wouldn't it have been cool if after he buried him and then he showed up behind him, he was back in his Undertaker garb?
That would have been cool. I thought maybe they may reference, I thought maybe you might have even gotten a Michelle McCool appearance because they referenced his wife so much, in some kind of form or fashion. I kept on waiting for one other, sort of minor swerve, but overall, I really, really enjoyed the segment, and this does harken back to the broken Matt Hardy character in TNA, which they did, and they added, so many non sequiturs. Even the Edge and Christian show, they would do like a Carlito run. It was I think they could have done something like that. Maybe an old school, have an appearance by an old school or something. To wrestling nerd.
Maybe even Foley, like Mankind or something like that.
Well, apparently Mick Foley tweeted and said he wanted to be part of the next Boneyard match. So I think overall, the one thing I did see this morning was, for the most part, social media was really, really positive about the Boneyard match and how the WWE presented it.
Yeah.
Which gives me pause and a lot of hope for tonight. Cena versus the Fiend, and now what it's been called the Funhouse match.
Yeah.
They got rid of the Firefly fun. Now it's just a Funhouse match.
Well, with let me ask you this: last night, if Mayor Glenn Jacobs wasn't so busy saving his city from the coronavirus, would he have been involved in this?
I think you definitely could have had, like I said.
That would have been super cool.
You could have done some cool cameos. You might as well. This kind of thing, you got to really be out of the box, and you can't worry about traditional wrestling norms the way it's.
I agree.
That's why I was okay with the music and the fog and the John Carpenter. It had almost like a John Carpenter,
Blair Witchy kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, it was so entertaining, and I loved every minute of it. It'll be interesting to see, and I think it's on tonight after WrestleMania. There's a new documentary. What is it? Undertaker: The Last Ride.
Yeah, well, I referenced it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing that because, was that his last match?
Well, I was going to ask you that, so I'm going to give you my answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Clearly, that's a no. Because Undertaker has to be in a physical wrestling ring for his last match.
Agreed, and I'm glad.
And so, was there any avenue that AJ could have won?
No, Undertaker had to. even though wrestling purists, which we like to think we are, but we're really not. We just want to be entertained. Wrestling purists say that like AJ needed to win because AJ's the younger one, even though AJ's our age basically, or in our. He's not. He's a little bit.
He's like 41.
He's a little bit younger, but he's not a spring chicken. But a lot of people were saying like Taker has to put AJ over, but he's not going to, which I disagree with, because both of them came out great. It didn't matter who won.
Did a great job.
Both of them came out great, and when both of you come out great, it really doesn't matter who gets the win. The company gets the win.
Well, I think that's to be seen, how history judges this WrestleMania moving forward. But let's just focus back to night one. Did the WWE accomplish its objectives in giving us a good night of entertainment for night one?
More than that. They gave us a very good night of entertainment. Not perfect, but it wasn't expected to be. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars for the entire night.
I won't give it stars, but what I will say is individually it wasn't bad. And I hate to say this because I'm a WWE guy, but in totality, I thought they could have done a little bit better. Only because, Andy, it was pre-taped. And so, like, even that first match, Alexa Bliss missed her finisher. I can't have that. Not on a pre-taped, in a pre-taped
Well, didn't they say some of it was pre-taped and some of it was going to be live? I couldn't tell which ones was which.
No, I think maybe some of the segments. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if there was stuff that was done live. I couldn't tell.
Well, I would think that if she did miss that finisher, I would think that was, I would hope that was live. Otherwise, they should have filmed it again. I don't know. They said, do you know what they said it was? They said it was live on tape. That's basically how they do talk shows. They film it. You know how they film talk shows? They film it beforehand, but it's as if it's airing that way. So they take the commercial breaks. They do all that. So it might not have been editable.
Maybe you're right.
It might not have been editable. So if that's a word. So, but either way, look, in a night of making the best of it, I think they made the best of it. I don't see how it could have been much better. Maybe a couple little things, but I really enjoyed it. Once I got used to it, I was all in.
It's funny, we just like basically argued and critiqued and crapped on some of it for 2 hours, and we're like, oh no, it was good.
No, but when we went match by match, we've basically given thumbs up to every match. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at the quality of a WrestleMania, you're looking at the quality of the matches. And we've enjoyed, to some extent, every match. Even Goldberg-Strowman, while the match itself wasn't good, the story behind it was entertaining.
What story? I mean, Roman Reigns was out.
Well, no, but seeing Strowman come in and do like take the title, it had a positive outcome. Like if Goldberg won, we would have been all pissed off. But it had a positive outcome, and it was, look, Goldberg, for what it's worth, okay? We know he's not a good wrestler. He's an entertainer, and he'll always be entertaining to watch in some fashion. And that was no different that night and last night. And it was good that it was short, to the point, got it done, and then moved on. So, yes, that did exactly what it was expected to do. Nobody expected it to be a good match. Nobody ever expects a Goldberg match to be a good match. Goldberg doesn't expect a Goldberg match to be a good match, But it was entertaining and it was fun. You don't agree?
I think the best thing you could say about the Goldberg-Strowman match was there was no botches. That was about it.
Hey, that's a good thing in a Goldberg match.
Are you looking forward to night 2?
Very much. I wasn't even looking forward to night 1 just because I was still, going through my manic depression through this whole thing, just adding to the fact that just seeing the word WrestleMania just bums me out because we should be there, and I'm really, we had so many great things planned, but once the show began and once I got used to everything, I really enjoyed it. And yes, I was bummed out when it ended. I was hoping to see a little. I don't know. It was a great cliffhanger. Now I'm really looking forward because I looked at the match lineup and I'm looking forward to. In some way, I'm looking forward to every match tonight.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited about it.
All right. Well,
it doesn't take much to get me excited these days, but yes, I'm very excited about it.
All right. Well, we'll be watching tonight, day 2 of WrestleMania, and we will chat tomorrow and give everyone our thoughts. And all right, that's it.
Is that a bird? What just
no.
something weird just appeared over your right shoulder? Oh, okay.
That's a garbage can.
I was like, is somebody reaching out to choke you?
No one's reaching out to choke.
Oh my god! Oh my God! He's right behind him! Look! Turn around!
All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll give everybody our thoughts on night 2. And Groo, why don't you take us out, brother?
Yes. Well, tomorrow is night 2, and we are looking forward to it. We're looking forward to watching it tonight. Evan and I will be live tweeting it to each other, not to any of you, because you wouldn't pay attention if we were, unless your name is Steven Gruthius. But
you wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You wouldn't get it. But yes, we will see you tomorrow, or at least within the next couple days, because we'll probably have a lot to digest. Tonight's going to be very interesting, and we look forward to that. And until then, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, rip 'em.
Wash your hands. Whack, whack.